problem of exercise in the past has been that everyone tries to make it harder, more difficult, more unpleasant, more painful. And so most people are conditioned not to want to do it. And especially when people get older, they no longer even think about exercising anymore. And so that has a tremendous deteriorative effect on their health and lives. And so there must be a way in which people can very simply exercise for the rest of their life and until the day they finally die and maintain their health. Okay, so let's begin with a review of 5 exercises that I call the Easy 5, and then a second group that I call the Advanced 5, and finally the Bodybuilders 5, so that if a person does the complete cycle of 15 exercises, they can pretty much maintain themselves at a very high level. And a person who just wants to maintain their basic movements for the day and warm up in this fashion can just be satisfied with doing the first 5. Okay? So, the exercises are making a fist and bending in a palmward direction. Notice I'm also moving my head left and right. So the important parts of my body that has to move are the extremities of the head, the hands, and the feet. Because everything, all the other muscles are connected to the muscles at the extremities. And when you cause an alternation of contraction and relaxation at the points at the extremities, then you're creating a pumping effect, just like the heart. So, and that is the real weakness of the human body, is the fact that, not that the heart, which, has to contract 100,000 times each day, even if you don't do anything more. Well, the heart's just the given. Everything else is the variable. So this movement is with the legs. So those are the first 5 exercises. Then the second 5 is a little more advanced, and this is the rowing movement. This is what a person does to row a boat. And it's also known as the weightlifter's movement, because thrusting the hips forward from the backward position is what moves the body mass to lift a weight. This movement is the torso rotation, or what they call the torso pullover, or the throwing movement. The arms are drawing back and then moving forward and then finally back as far as possible. Okay, so it simulates the throwing movement. This movement here, pushing out directly forward, is very similar to what they call the bench press, or more familiar, the push-up. Okay, the push-up is simply starting with your arms at your side and then moving your arms forward. That movement alone causes the muscle to contract. The essential movement of the legs is simply a slight knee dip directly onto your toes. Slight knee dip directly onto your toes. That is the action of jumping, running, walking, cycling, all the essential useful movements of the legs. This is a movement of raising my toes while also pushing away from a stationary object. So this is like doing a standing push-up. Notice the vigor in which I'm moving my head. See, I'm allowing my head to move up and down. Okay, the final 5 begins with the standing swim. Okay? And people are surprised that just doing a count of 50 of these totally exhausts their shoulders. It's like swimming in the ocean, standing. The next movement is a double bicep pump, or single bicep pump. It's very common among the bodybuilders, okay? Then the rotation of the shoulder forward. So this is working the rotator cuff of the shoulders. And this is a movement that's very familiar to people observing sports activities, that a person raises their arms in triumph. Okay, this is also the weightlifters movement, lifting weight overhead. And finally, we go back to doing a arm bend with the knuckles moving, with the fist moving in a knuckleward direction, just like running. So that takes us complete circle back to how simple it is to maintain our health. And so in the future, in order for people to maintain a vigorous and healthy lives for the full length of time, which may be 90, 100 years, you know, there has to be a way in which they can easily exercise and maintain their optimal health. And this is all that's required. That they have to maintain the circulation to the extremities of the head, the hands, and the feet. Because this is where the body begins to deteriorate in every case. Well, you know, as long as the person is growing healthier and improving, then there is just simply growth or deterioration. And that's the basic consideration a person has to make, is whether they're either growing or they're deteriorating. And if you're deteriorating, then
there's no age at which you can't recover from. So even if you've let yourself go to the deathbed, you can come back.
Well, you know, if many people on their deathbed show very little signs of movement or life, and if they can, the way to revive them is simply to direct them to move their head, because moving their head will direct the circulation to their brain foremost. And once the brain is empowered in that fashion, the major function of the brain is to provide for the health of the rest of the body. That's the brain's primary function, not thought or not memory, not knowledge. It's simply survival. Every animal in the world has a brain, and the reason for that brain is to provide for their health and their survival. But it has to be empowered through optimizing the conditions in which it operates. And for the person who's motionless, basically not showing any signs of life, that would be moving all the way to the left and all the way to the right, and if possible moving their head forward. And that movement of the head forward is like doing a sit-up, because that is the primary benefit of a sit-up, is simply to move the head forward, not to bend the trunk.
Yeah. So the things that we're doing here is improving your respiration and circulation.
Well, those are the basic, vital signs of life. And if you can optimize them and not just simply let them go by chance, but produce the highest state of understanding in those processes, which is simply that in order to produce a optimal, maximal flow, you have to alternate the muscular action by contracting as fully as possible and relaxing as fully possible, because it's the difference between the fullest contraction and the fullest relaxation that is the rate of flow. So a lot of bodybuilders who just tense their muscles or contract their muscles impede that flow, because they're not producing a alternation of the contraction and relaxation, just as the heart functions.
So you're utilizing the pumping action of your muscles to improve the function of your heart, is what you're talking about.
Well, we're actually using the other muscles of your body to create pumps throughout the weaknesses of the human body, which will be at the extremities of the body. That's where the circulation is weakest. It's because the heart only pumps blood in one direction, out to the extremities. And if there is not a voluntary contraction from the extremities back towards the heart, then fluids tend to accumulate there, and toxins accumulate there, and then the body starts to break down because of the toxins are destroying the nerve cells and the responsiveness. But if you start pumping, using your head, your hands, and the feet in an alternating contraction, relaxation, so that you're creating additional auxiliary pumps at your feet, at your hands, at your head, you make those areas into a strength rather than the weakness of the human body. And therefore life will be able to be sustained at a high level and even optimized, which is not a possibility of most people's lives in the past.
And the body already has the ability to function at a high level. You're born with it, and all you're doing is improving it. Is that you're utilizing what's already there. It's not a magic. It's simple.
Well, it's like most things in most people's lives, is that we have many resources, many things that work, but it's discovering and understanding how we can get the most out of what we already have that is the secret and the difference in life.